I want to tell you about a Tuesday evening in January of 2013. I was 79 years old. Margaret was in the hospital, not the final admission, an earlier one, a procedure that required 2 nights and that the doctors described as routine in the specific way that doctors describe things as routine when they want you to feel reassured. But the word routine has started to mean something different to you than it used to mean. I drove home from the hospital at 8:30 in the evening. The house was quiet in the specific way that houses are quiet when the person who makes them feel inhabited is not in them. I sat at my desk. I did not turn on the television. I did not make a phone call. I did not find something that needed doing. I sat at my desk and I took out a yellow legal pad, and I wrote down everything I wished I had done differently. Not a polished list, not something I had been preparing. Just everything that came when I sat in a quiet house at 79 years old with Margaret in a hospital bed 2 miles away, and the specific kind of honest reckoning that arrives when the usual distractions have been removed. I wrote for 2 hours. When I stopped, I counted what I had written. 34 things. I sat with that number for a long time. 34. Not because 34 is large. In 84 years of living, 34 specific things is not a catalog of catastrophic failure. Because of what the 34 told me about the 79 years that had produced them. Not what I had done wrong, what I had been willing to see honestly when the house was quiet and Margaret was 2 miles away, and there was nothing left to hide behind. My name is Harold Voss. I am 84 years old. My heart is running at 38%. Today I am going to tell you 34 things I wished I had done differently. Not all 34. I am going to give you the ones that I think matter most to the men who are listening to this right now. The ones that are not specific to Harold Voss, the ones that belong to all of us. Before I begin, I need to ask you something. If you sat down tonight in a quiet house with a yellow legal pad and wrote everything you wish you had done differently, what would your number be? Not what you think it should be, what it actually would be if you were honest. Write the number in the comments, just the number. Because the number is not a measure of failure, it is a measure of honesty. And most men never find out their number because they never sit down and count. Number 1. I wish I had said I love you to my father before he died. Not once. I wish I had said it regularly. The way you say things to people that are true and that they deserve to hear on ordinary days, not just at moments of crisis or departure. He died in 1979. I was 35. I have had 45 years to sit with that one. Number 2. I wish I had asked my father what frightened him. Not to be morbid, not as an exercise in vulnerability, because I spent 60 years being frightened of the same things he was frightened of, and performing the same management of that fear that he performed, and passing the same performance on to my own children. And I never once asked him what was underneath it, because men of his generation did not ask that question, because men of my generation did not either, and I passed that silence on. Number 3. I wish I had been at David's debate competition. March 14, 1997. He won first place. I was not there. He nodded when his mother told him I was not coming. He went upstairs. I have thought about that nod for 27 years. Number 4. I wish I had told Margaret she was beautiful more often. Not at significant moments, at Tuesday morning moments, at the specific ordinary moments that mean more than the significant ones because they are not required and therefore they are chosen. I told her at significant moments. She deserved to hear it on Tuesdays. Number 5. I wish I had gone to therapy 30 years earlier, not because I was broken, because the Harold who finally sat in a therapist's chair at 80 years old was a better version of himself than the Harold who had spent 60 years telling himself he did not need to. And Margaret deserved 60 years of the better version, not 2. Number 6. I wish I had asked for help in the parking garage instead of sitting on the floor for 11 minutes thinking about a meeting. My heart is at 38%, 11 minutes. Number 7. I wish I had drawn a line between work hours and family hours and held it. Not for the family's sake only, for mine. The man who held the line would have been more present at work and more present at home. The man who held no line was fully present nowhere. Number 8. I wish I had told David that the advice I gave him in 1999 was coming from a man with $14,000 in savings. He deserved the honest version of his father, not the performed one. Number 9. I wish I had gone to Margaret's first oncology appointment. Spring of 2020. I had a commitment. I rearranged it the following week. She went alone. A year before she died, she said, "I remember going to the first appointment alone, Harold." I said, "I know. I am sorry," she said. "I know you are." Number 10. I wish I had learned to sit in silence without filling it. Not every silence needs to be filled. Some of them are where the most important things live. I filled them for 60 years, with work, with talking, with the specific and practiced busyness of a man who had learned that silence was where the things he did not want to face tended to wait. Number 11. I wish I had saved 15% from the beginning, not from when I felt financially stable enough to start saving seriously, from the first paycheck. The compounding I missed in my 20s and 30s is not a number I am able to think about directly. Number 12. I wish I had sold the house in 2006 instead of refinancing it. I wish I had understood what a paid-off house actually was before I borrowed against it. Number 13. I wish I had said no in that conference room in 2002. The room full of men who were nodding, the $340,000 investment, the generational opportunity. I wish I had been the man who said no. Number 14. I wish I had asked Thomas what he needed from me instead of deciding what I thought he needed and delivering that. He needed a different thing than what I decided. I decided for 30 years before I asked. Number 15. I wish I had listened to Gerald more carefully in the last 2 years of his life. He died in 2009. In 2007, something shifted between us, and I never named it while he was alive. The $30,000. The silence that grew around it. I should have said something. I did not. He was gone before I found the words. Number 16. I wish I had gone to New Zealand with Margaret when she asked. She asked in 2004. I said the timing was not right. The timing was never right. She died without seeing it. The photograph is still on the wall of my study. Number 17. I wish I had driven more slowly to the hospital the morning my father died. Not because I would have arrived in time, because in the year before he died, I knew he was declining, and I visited less than I should have, and I have wondered ever since whether I drove fast that morning to compensate for all the mornings I had not driven at all. Number 18. I wish I had read more and worked more slowly. I was a good engineer. I think I could have been a remarkable one if I had given the work the quality of attention it deserved instead of the quantity of hours I substituted for that attention. Number 19. I wish I had not joined the club. 8 years, 3 visits. Nobody noticed I was a member. Number 20. I wish I had told Claire that her instincts about Gloria were right. She saw it clearly. She said it carefully. I did not hear it. She was 26 years old and she was right, and I was 58, and I was not. Number 21. I wish I had understood earlier that providing and being present are not the same thing. I provided for 30 years under the assumption that provision was presence. It is not. Thomas told me so, matter-of-factly. The way you state something that has been true for so long, it no longer requires emotion. Number 22. I wish I had asked Margaret what she dreamed about. Not her ambitions, not her plans. What she actually dreamed about at night. We were married for 51 years, and I do not know the answer to that question. Number 23. I wish I had been less certain. I was right about a great many things across my life, and the certainty with which I was right cost me more than the things I was wrong about. Number 24. I wish I had understood that the people who say, "Fine, Harold, you are right," are not agreeing with you. They are protecting themselves from the cost of disagreeing. I heard fine as agreement for 30 years. It was exhaustion. Number 25. I wish I had stopped working at 60 instead of being stopped at 61. 1 year. Chosen rather than imposed. The difference between those two things is the difference between dignity and a folder slid across a table by a woman who could not make eye contact. Number 26. I wish I had told my children more stories about my own failures when they were young. Not to burden them, to show them that failure was survivable. They learned that their father succeeded. They did not learn that their father had failed and recovered and was better for it. That was information they needed that I withheld. Number 27. I wish I had gone back to the firm in 3 months after the parking garage instead of 6 weeks. My heart is at 38%. 6 weeks. Number 28. I wish I had understood that loneliness is not the same thing as being alone. I ran from being alone for 15 years after Margaret left, into Gloria, into the specific and expensive disaster of a decision made from the terror of solitude. Solitude was not the thing I was running from. I did not understand that until I had paid the price for running. Number 29. I wish I had written Margaret a letter every year on our anniversary. Not a card, a letter. The actual accounting of what the year had been and what she had meant in it. I did not do that once in 51 years. I thought about it many times. I did not do it once. Number 30. I wish I had asked my children what they were afraid of. Not when they were small, when they were adults, when the fears had become the specific and unspoken kind that adults carry, and that nobody asks about because adults are supposed to have resolved their fears, or at least learned to carry them without assistance. I never asked. Number 31. I wish I had understood earlier that the stories I told myself about who I was were not descriptions of who I was. They were decisions about who I was going to keep being. I kept being the same Harold for 60 years because I kept telling the same story. The story was not true. It was just old. Number 32. I wish I had said, I do not know. More often, I knew things. I knew many things. And the knowing was real and earned and useful. But the things I did not know were at least as important as the things I did. And I presented the not knowing as knowing for so long that I eventually forgot the difference. Number 33. I wish I had sat at the kitchen table on an ordinary Wednesday evening and done nothing in particular with my family. Not an event, not a deliberate quality time initiative. Just nothing in particular. The ordinary evenings were the ones they would remember. I spent most of them somewhere else. Number 34. I wish I had understood sooner that the only moment I had any actual power in was the one I was currently in. Not the next one, not the one I was planning toward. This one, the one that was happening right now while I was thinking about the next one. I spent 80 years in the next one, and the current one kept becoming the past before I had finished arriving in it. That is the 34. I sat with it on a Tuesday evening in January of 2013 in a quiet house with Margaret 2 miles away. And I thought about all the things on that list that I still had time to do something about. Not all of them. Some of them were already finished. My father was gone. David's debate was gone. The first oncology appointment was gone. But not all of them. Some of them were still available. And the ones that were still available were the most important thing on the legal pad. Not the 34. The ones still available. Here is my second question for today. Of everything on your list, everything you would write on a yellow legal pad in a quiet house on an honest evening, how many of them are still available? Write the number in the comments. Just that number. Because that number is the only one that matters right now. Not what you missed, what you still have time for. I am not done yet.